Naked Shamanism. Welcome to With Insights Radio. I'm your host, Iggy Garcia. I will take you on a journey across the universe through shamanism, metaphysical, and holistic. So sit back and relax and enjoy the show. All right. I want to welcome everybody to the show. I'm your host, Iggy Garcia. And we are broadcasting live here on Facebook, on YouTube, and all the places where podcasts are free. So I'm your Naked Shaman here, ready here to share a little bit with you, see what's going on. I'm going to get my phone ready in case we have questions. That way I can see what's happening. For those of you who want to ask questions of me, here I am, watching myself live. It's kind of weird. Anyhow, so here we go. So like every show, we kind of start off with giving thanks to our ancestors, giving thanks to those people who came before us, lighting a candle, holding space, giving thanks to mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, or any connections you have with people in your life. So giving thanks to that. So I want to hold this candle and hold space and honor my ancestors and thank them for the courage and the strength that it took to do what they had to do. This was before social media, before planes, before all those things that we have, all these luxuries and these things that we have in our life now. So, they had it a little different than we did. And we also bring a little sage, giving thanks. Trying to get this closed caption on here for those who. Okay, it's on. Takes a second to light this. And once it's lit, it smells really good. Very powerful. Just move that energy right along. Okay, so just checking everybody. So the first day of spring was Monday, and March is over, man. Just I mean, it's not over, but it's what, the 22nd. Next week is like the final week of March. I can't believe it. It just blew my mind. I'm going, where did the time go? I mean, I can't even believe it. Little water. So, a lot of us made New Year's resolutions this year. We all made decisions about things we wanted to do and things that we wanted to accomplish. Some of us are accomplishing those, and some of us probably have failed already, and that's okay. No problem. It's part of the game. It's part of the being human. It's part of being in that life and that situation. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about, just where we are, as a species, as a race, or as humanity, and the things that we do in order for us to move forward on this planet, and the illusion that we have a lot of time, the illusion that we have all this time to do whatever we want. And quite frankly, I'm here to report that our time is very limited here. Our time here on this planet is very short compared to a redwood tree, for example. If you're going to compare, you know, length of, of existence, they can live 3, 4, 5, 600 years. Us, we're lucky if we make it to 50, 70, 80. If you make it to 100, my God, you're doing something amazing. But, it's part of life. Life, in the old times, back in 1500s, 1800s, and, humans didn't live very long. If you lived to be my age, 50, you were considered, wow, this amazing person. But, life was a little different. Life back then didn't have all the conveniences that we have today, you know, and I'm not saying that the problems that we have today are not, I don't want to just scoff them off and act like that's not a big deal. But life was a lot different back then. You really had to work for stuff. And not that you don't work for stuff now, but just the way we access information now is just totally amazing. It totally blows my mind. And, you know, and the way we communicate blows my mind. We can communicate in a matter of seconds, in a matter of minutes, nanoseconds. We can just put a thought in our head and there it goes. And if we want information, we Google it or we YouTube it because those are the sources we have. Artificial intelligence has become part of our culture, part of our way of living, part of our way of life. Is it something that we really want? Is it something we really need? Well, some people believe that we really need it, that we need to expand on it and make it grow. It's like anything when you create it, eventually it moves off and does its own thing. It's kind of like humanity, right? We came from a source created us, and then eventually we move away from source, but source is always with us and we're always connected to it, and we acknowledge source and we give thanks to source in our own unique special ways. Some of us do it through religion, some of us do it through ceremony, but regardless, we're all in the mix. We're all in the mix together. And so that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today, just how we move through the energy, this energy that we've created, this energy that is life, this place that we reside in this world with all the things that are happening and all the information that we're inundated with. How can we survive? What is it that we have to do in order for us to do better? Because right now, life is very difficult for a lot of people. It's to the point where the information and all the stuff that we have is really bogging us, a lot of us, down. A lot of us are bogged down. A lot of us are, are disconnected from the people we love, the people we care about, you know? And it's crazy. It's crazy to think that all the stuff that we have, this technology that's supposed to help us and make our lives easier, is also crippling us and also making it very difficult for us to, navigate and survive through life. And so how do we do that? How do we know when we have an issue where we have to work through something? Well, here's the thing. If your partners or anybody's telling you you seem to be way too much on social media, that should be a hint that maybe that's true. There's ways to manage and there's a way to guide and find out how long you've been on. Your phone actually has a timer now, or it calculates and it can tell you how long you've been on your phone, where you've been on your phone, how long you've been on your phone. And all this information is gathered. All this information is gathered and manipulated and stored and processed and sold. You know, I want to believe that what I talk about is important. That sometimes what I find is that, the information that's, out there and the information about me is floating everywhere, just like you and me. The work that I do, being on social media and promoting and sharing my events, social media is a very big part of my life. I never ever thought that I would be so entrenched in it and so connected to it because I didn't see it that way. Everything was just the old way. We printed, passed flyers, we shared, we were on different platforms that weren't so, you know, I don't know, so congested. Everything on social media seems really congested right now. You can post something and it can get buried in a matter of minutes because of similar posts or different things. I post my drummings on there. And so usually it's the people who follow or are connected with me see that information. And so that's kind of the stuff that we deal with. Social media right now is just a really powerful tool, and it's a very expanding, it's always growing and always becoming very unique. But the thing is, it's also very impersonal. You think you can create a personality to it, make it more connective, but I've watched and I've seen and I don't see it. I don't see social media being kind and friendly like when you talk to somebody. It's like going to a restaurant, right? It's like a server waiting on you and then pushing a button and sending your food to you. And they're still talking to you through the screen, but you never see them. There's something impersonal about the unpersonal, impersonal. You don't have that connection, you don't have that vibe. And so, this is kind of the things that's what's happening with social media. So this is why friends like myself, me, my friends, we all go out and we do all these events, drumming, sound baths, and all these things is to keep the human interaction going. Because human interaction is what makes this world go round, makes this world go, much better, 10 times better. The thing is, you got to find the things that you like. And the cool thing about social media is you can find a lot of things you like and a lot of people that you like, and you can avoid the people you don't like. And so it's very important when we're connecting to, resonate with like-minded people, like-minded energies. And social media has helped us with that. But like anything, it's only as good as it's just a tool, right? It's only as good as how we know how to use it. Now, some of us are not on Facebook, some of us are not on Instagram or TikTok, and we do fine. And we navigate fine. There used to be a thing called Meetup. I used to be on Meetup. I liked Meetup because you push your post and the people who were on Meetup, they were looking for specific things. And when they found it, they connected with you. Social media is kind of like shooting a shotgun, and then all of a sudden you're just hoping wherever you scatter and wherever you shoot, you're going to find connection. I mean, I've worked and navigated through this process, and it's really unfriendly. You have 10 seconds to make an impression, not 30, not a minute like we used to be, maybe 5 now, maybe 2 seconds, 3 seconds to make a connection with somebody on the other side. They can see you, they can feel you in the sense of energetically if they like you or don't like you. But that's kind of what we're at. That's where we're at. The unfriendliness of Facebook, the unfriendliness of Instagram. Beautiful platforms, they work, and I know people love it. And I've met good friends being on these platforms and being connected to them. But also, I've seen a lot of stuff happen, where people get misconstrued and misinterpreted and read wrong. And then you have all these different things where people just create, you know, all these different, types of memes and all these different types of videos where it's not even the real person sometimes talking. You can't even distinguish what's reality sometimes, what's real. You think you do. You think you have an idea, but you don't. And in being a shaman in this world, in this particular world, trying to navigate social media and using it to our benefit and using it to our liking can be very difficult. People want to do, and people like myself, we do healing across the internet, but there's always a delay. There's always a delay uh, with social media and with connection and bandwidth and the things that we deal with. But energy follows intent, so we do the work. And sometimes when we do the work, we're able to do it. But I don't know, there's something about actually working with another human being one on one. We can actually physically see and feel that energy. You know, I had to work and train myself to work and see how I work through somebody on a screen because it's very different. It's very different. There's missing keys, there's missing gaps. Some people do real well with it and they love it. Other people, not so much. I'm kind of 50-50 on it. I like it, don't like it, but either way, it works. So that's kind of what we're doing. Just trying to figure out and navigate. Now, the world is very challenging right now. We all have come out of this pandemic state of mind, and we're all trying to regroup and recourse and find, a new way to navigate life because the way we navigated wasn't the same way. It was, I became like kind of like a hermit. I became hermitized. I didn't really want to go out. I really didn't want to be around people. I didn't really want to, be in that space where my energy was being challenged, where I was not sure if someone was well, if someone was sick. And, a lot of people don't tell you when they're sick, which is kind of messed up. If you're not well, stay home. Oh, it's just a little cold. A little cold these days can really affect people. Just think about it. All the foods that we eat and everything that we process and all the things that we put in our body, not the same. Everything is very manufactured. Everything's very chemicalized. Everything that we ingest is not necessarily good for us. Even things that we buy that we think are healthy are not always good for us. When you start to read it, when you have to preserve something on the shelf, you got to find different ways of doing it. And there's some things we don't do. And it's some of the things that we grow don't necessarily, they may not have pesticides, but they might have insecticides. They don't have insecticides. They may have a herbicide. But regardless, we can't win. We're kind of in a crutch. And this is where, holistic, metaphysical, shamanism, Reiki is important because we can pray on our food. We can set intentions on our foods and the thing we drink and, change our mindset and our thought. There was people who were saying that when COVID, that people could change that, that they could change their mind, they could move the energy, and then there were some leaders in the community like, oh, no, 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 no. You need to get the booster, you need to get the shot, blah, blah, blah. Don't fall for, you know, I think it's a two-way street, you know? I think if you're going to get the whatever you're going to get, that's your choice. But to think that energetically you cannot heal yourself and that you can't move that energy is kind of contradicting to what you're talking about. The same way we have these medicines, the way we use medicines, you know, there's a place and there's a purpose for that. And I think sometimes we forget that. We forget that. Before there was like the medicines that we have today, there was things that we were connected to Mother Earth. We were connected to the Earth Mother very deeply, very loudly, and very proudly. And I say that very loudly and proudly because there were people who were medicine people who that's what they did. They were herbalists or witches, shamans, metaphysicians. They call what is it? Alchemists. All these different people who, druids, and and what happened? We pushed them out. We killed a lot of them, and I say we. That's just a general way of saying our ancestors. Some of our ancestors decided that was best to move them out because they were challenging our belief systems that we indoctrinated and put into our spirit and our soul. And that's what happens when we do that. So many people throughout history, have are no longer with us. They're not here. They're not here. They were erased and totally just wiped out. And sometimes when I think about that, I'm going, man, there's a whole line of people who never existed because of the decisions other people made for them, not with them, for them. When they made the decision that they were going to eradicate villages, they were going to eradicate, you know, uh, ships, buildings, people, children. There's just this thing that just it's bothersome to think about sometimes all the things that humanity has done to humans, to what we've done to ourselves, what we do to ourselves. You know, we watch, you know, racism, segregation. We watch, where we see white people beating up black people. Now we watch black people beating up white people. We see all these different stuff. that repeats itself. We're watching all these things that people hurting each other because they can't talk, because they're not willing to communicate, because they're too proud and they're too connected to the ancestral traumas and hurts that they're not willing to let go and release. They're not willing to let go and release because it's too easy to do, but it's too hard to do at the same time because they find an identity through that. They find an identity. Oh, my ancestor was this. My ancestors were that. Your ancestors were this and that, but you're not. You have a choice to make a difference in this world, to make a decision that you're not going to follow that path, that you're not going to go down that road, that you're not going to be doing the same thing that your ancestors did. But a lot of us don't do it. A lot of us repeat the same stuff. Even when we decide that we're going to stand up for ourselves and protect ourselves, there are other people who, in retrospect, in reverse, they they become the minority in that moment. We don't see that because we're so much entrenched in the hurt, in the belief that we believe about what happened to us. What happened to us is more important, right? Versus what happens to the next person. But humanity will never move into that energy of peace and love when it has room for fear and hate because people are different. People are different. I'm not saying you can't own your belief and you can't own this, but you know, it's uncomfortable when other people try to change, the agenda for us, the genre for us, and we don't feel like we have any say because that's kind of how it's always been. It's always been that way throughout history. There's always a dominant party. There's always a dominant group. It feels that their message is more important. And we see it in pockets. We see it in movements. We watch it. All you have to do is turn on the TV or go to your social media, go on Twitter and all the platforms you go on. I mean, what is it, YouTube? And you can connect to anything that you relate to, anything that you remotely feel are connected to, because it's right there. It's right there in front of us. Before things were underground, things were quiet. You never really knew who was who. Now we're at the point where no one really cares. It's kind of a blatant, I don't give a rip, you know? I don't care. This is who I am. Blah, blah, blah. Just spitting all over everybody, you know? Man up, you know? You're a racist. You're white privilege. You're black privilege. You're Hispanic privilege. You're Chinese privilege. You're Asian privilege. You're whatever privilege. Everybody's privileged. Everybody accuses the other group and the other person that they had it better. Did they have it better? At one time, probably yes. Does that mean it's always been better? Not necessarily. You know, the thing is, when we don't see people as people and we only see them as colors and see them as labels, then we treat them that way. People look at me, first thing they see is a short white guy, but they don't know anything about my background. All they know is the projection they put upon me. Unless people truly know me, they know that my background is indigenous Peruvian with a mixture of European, blood in there and African blood. Yeah, I have African blood. I have European blood because we're all from our original roots come from the mother Africa, right? But you can't tell people that because no one wants to believe that. No one wants to hear that. That was a long time ago. That happened a long time ago. That was before Iggy. It's kind of like all the things that happen now. Anytime I would bring up anything about indigenous, you know, hurts or whatever, people would shut me down. And these people were my friends sometimes. And it didn't matter if it was Republican or Democrat, it didn't matter. They shut me down. Now that was my ancestors. That wasn't me, or vice versa. That was a long time ago. That happened so long ago. That wasn't in our lifetime. But that trauma, that hurt still carries through our body. It's like telling Jewish people, forget about the Holocaust. It's like telling black people, forget about slavery. That was 200 years ago. Forget about this, forget about that. You can't tell people to forget things and expect people just to lay down and be, oh, okay, I'm going to forget because no, because you want to give back to everybody. Well, you got to give back to everybody. You can't just give to selected groups because that's not how it works. Because the indigenous people who lived here on this part of the country, they got raped and robbed and everything got stolen from them. Everything. And this all up and down South America, Central America, and North America, these lands are stolen lands. These lands, don't belong to the people who live here. They belong to us now because we are the dominant force and we have the dominant army to contain it and keep it. And you know what? And when you do your research, you will understand why we don't give things back to indigenous people, the people who are from these lands, because we have treaties with all these people, or some of these treaties have avoided or no longer exist. But as soon as you give back, you void it and you null and void things. But they don't tell you that. They null and void things. And so, you really want to help. There are a lot of people who need a lot of help. But how do we move forward in this new world that we are systematically helping create? Because we are helping create this new world. We are also destroying it. And, there are some things that we are bringing down that may not necessarily benefit everybody. But it may benefit a smaller portion of people. It's just how the system works. You're never going to please everybody. You only please part of the people some of the time. And we're in a really delicate place because everything that we're fed, everything that's that we ingest is information that's passed through the media system, through our government, through people that we know, through these indoctrinating little boxes, these supercomputers that we carry in our hands. Everything that we know is people telling us what we need to know. It's really hard without being accused of being a conspiracy theorist or something, radical, that you're out of your freaking mind, that this is not how they do it. A lot of people don't believe that their government would do anything to them. Why would they do that? They have reasons. I don't know. I'm not in the club. I don't know. But from outside looking in, it's kind of messed up. When you watch, there are people who have billions and billions and billions. You took all the billionaires in the world, they could solve a lot of our problems. And a lot of that stuff's just paper, right? Paper, cotton, and linen. But it's just all the stuff that they have. And then I'm not saying take from the rich and give to the poor, but I think the rich could help people create things, and they do. I know they give their money so they can have tax shelters and they don't have to pay taxes and stuff. I get the game. I get it. But it's just us people who are on the bottom, because we're on the bottom. Okay. I hate to tell you. You, me, middle class, poor, we're on the bottom. We're the bottom of the pyramid. And unless you're at the top, you are not making a difference. You are perpetuating and creating and working your ass off to help those people stay on top of the pyramid. Okay, because you are not. You think they throw you a bone and they pay you a nice wage and you're comfortable and you are at the bottom and they keep you there. They have a way and they know how to keep you at the bottom. And you know what? Some people just want to stay at the bottom because they don't know any better. They don't have the mindset to move themselves out of the bottom because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of, indoctrination, and it's a lot of circumventing, pushing you away not to be at the top, not to make the top. And the ones who wiggle and squeeze through, yeah, they make it. But then when they get up there, they kind of do the same thing. They forget about all of us at the bottom. There's more of us at the bottom. Okay. Because if you know anything about pyramids, the base is deep and it's wide. It's deep too, because it has to hold the foundation. And those are the bones of our ancestors. Those are the bones of the people who gave and sacrificed for the few to have their beautiful, luxurious life, because that's how it works. That's how it works. That's the system. It's a pyramid. Everybody, we talk about multi-level marketing and stuff, and they call it a pyramid. But yet everybody lives in a pyramid. Everybody, we have a social system that is a pyramid. Nobody nobody moves from the bottom unless they truly break through the foundation and work and find others who work or have common goals to move us out. All these guys at the top, they were this close from failing. If you ever read their stories, they were this close. But there's another group, there's 1% group, super powerful group, who have been rich for centuries, who have been rich for so long. They don't even know what it is to be poor. They don't have any clue what it means to they just don't have that connection. It's about us mounting and creating and hoarding this fictitious stuff, these things called wealth, this thing called money, this thing called gold and silver. You know, there's all kinds of historical stories about how other countries gave to all their people, and those countries were real successful. But as soon as they come into a situation where the country kept everybody down and they gave back, they collapsed economies. Our economy is structured very strategically, very strategically. So you're going, so what's this have to do with shamanism? Shoot, it has a lot to do with shamanism. The trauma, the heredity, and the energy that is stored and pushed through lineages, through our body, through our mind, through our spirit. You know, seven. It's just seven. Usually, it's just seven deep, because it's deeper than that, because each person has seven, right? Each group has seven, so it's more than seven. But all that energy and all that trauma and all that good stuff and bad stuff pushes through us. When you think about who you are, you're not who you think you are. You only have a perception and idea of what you think you are, because you're not who you really believe you are. You are the sum in parts of many other people who have come before you. This is why I always thank my ancestors. Some religions, oh, why do we don't pray to our dead people? Well, they're not dead. See, that's where you and I have a different belief. My family's not dead. They've transitioned to a different space, a different place of existence. Some of you call it heaven. Some of you guys call it purgatory. Some of you call it hell. Whatever you want it to be, it is what you want it to be. I'm not here to challenge belief systems and ideas, but I'm here to tell you, energetically, in the feelings, the emotions, our body, our DNA is structured to protect us and house us and show us how to avoid conflict, how to get to maneuver through conflict, how to combat, and how to fight. We are our own person. Yes, we are our own individual. We are our own source energy from the creator. We are a piece and part that ignites us and creates us. But in that energy that we feel, in that energy that's moving through us, there is information that courses through our body, information through our cells, through our DNA. Why is it that one brother or one sister suffers from one thing and the other one doesn't? This crap that, oh, it's in my family. I have cancer and we have cancer and I have heart disease. When you take that belief and you put it into your mind, into your spirit, into your soul, you lock in. Why not take that energy and say that you're healthy and wealthy and better? Because you don't believe it. Because you have to find, how many people die? I have clients who have passed away because they can't release the trauma. They can't release the fear or the anger that they hold to the person that gave them life or ancestor. Forgiveness is about yourself. It's not about the other person. It's about you understanding. when, you don't have to have the same ailments that your parents have. If you know anything about DNA, this is where we're at. If you know anything about DNA, your DNA, you get part of your mom, part of your dad. And that energy dictates kind of how we maneuver. And when you get to know who you are, it's kind of fascinating. My daughter has more genetic makeup about through my lineage. Not that she doesn't have anything from her mom, but she doesn't have all the attributes of her mom. She has a lot of mine. Now my sons, I don't know because they haven't get tested. And it was like, well, I don't get tested because they'll just know what I am and they'll use that again. Listen, if you give them blood or any kind of sample, they have your DNA. What they do with it, I don't know. So don't get too spooked about that. Maybe there's clones of you on a different world somewhere. We've learned to, create, and travel through space and time. But anyhow, your DNA is very special and it's always evolving. People don't think about this, but your DNA evolves, your DNA changes, your DNA structures. We don't have to get old. We get old because we believe we have to get old. And because that's kind of how it is. But sometimes, well, scientifically, as the world rolls and as our cells regenerate things. Yeah, because that's the system that we've created. When biblically they would say some people live 400 years old, right? Oh, but that's just moon cycles, blah, blah, blah. No, but I'm just saying, you ever wonder about that? It's because when we want to change our energy about us, and I've had to work on this. Like I'm with you. I've had to work on this. I've had to really think about stuff that I needed to work on. I was buying into the story, oh, my lungs, I don't feel good. Because that was the story that was playing out. I was afflicted with COVID, right? All right. But I survived. And that's the key. If I survived, then I have a chance to do better for my body. Then I have to figure out the ways to do better for my body, right? Because that's what we're supposed to do. Unless you're too tired and don't want to do it, that's one thing. But we have to find ways in order to do what's best for us. And it's not always easy. It's not always easy. But here, when we manure and when we manifest and create, we change the cells in our body. If you want to feel good, you can feel good because you release certain chemicals in your brain and in your body to make you feel good. Because we're designed, you know, with source energy. And source energy is healing energy. How is it that if you're a healer and you can put your hands on somebody and heal them, okay, and you forget that you can also heal yourself, or you can find someone to help you heal yourself? Because we have the tools. We were there. We have that. We have that capacity. But most people don't believe it because they don't think they're worthy enough. And worthiness is also detrimental to people. Well, I'm not, no, I don't believe it. What you believe creates and manifests. If you don't believe that the world is a peaceful place, it's not. If you believe the world is whatever, you create that. Oh, but Iggy, you don't understand. It's been hard. It's been hard for everybody. Everybody's has had hard. Every human being has had a moment in their time where they've been challenged to the extreme that they don't even know if they wanted to live. Every human has been challenged to feel emotions. Oh, excuse me. Just like me, just like you. Excuse me. Getting excited there. We can make decisions for ourselves that will benefit us. But we're calculators. We calculate every little piece of information and then we think about why we can't do something. A lot of you are in jobs that you hate. You're in situations you hate. You're in relationships you hate. You're with people you don't even like. But it's a lot easier just to stay with them or be with them because, what else is there to do? But anything, if you want to move to Florida, for example, you can move. You get your butt up and leave. You can just leave everything behind if you wanted and go. Or you can take all your stuff with you and go. But most people won't do that. Most people won't do that. Will I do that? Probably not. Why? Because I'm stuck in my own ways. I'm entrenched in belief systems that hold me down, belief systems that won't move me out. When people tell me, well, I can't do that, you're right. You can't because you've already set your mind to it. You set your goal to it. Oh, I'm afraid. Yes, you are very afraid because you know what? It is scary. There are people who say, well, I did this and I did that. Yes, you did because you know what? You made the decision to do it. But most people will live a life of dullness and boredom and just make decisions that don't make them grow because it's easier to be in that energy and deal with that energy because you've dealt with it so long. You're so used to it. You don't even know that there's even something else out there because you just don't move into that right frame of mind. And you don't listen. A lot of us don't listen. We don't listen to our own inner voice, the thing that's there, our heart, our spirit, and our soul, the thing that moves us, the things that energetically puts us in a place. When you truly want to do something, you'll do it. You know, when you really want to go in a place that's good for you, you'll move there. But a lot of us have to go through a bunch of crap in order for us to get there because, well, maybe next time, maybe it's just this chance, or maybe it was just this moment, or maybe maybe it's just me, and maybe I'm overthinking, or maybe it's just, or that person's this, or that person's that, or maybe you're the asshole, and maybe they're not the asshole. I don't know. I can't tell you. Only you know. But the thing that I do know is this: if you make decisions and you feel like you need to make decisions to better your life, then you make them. If you think it's not going to help you, then you don't make them. Yeah, there are so many people who die with their dreams in their head, in their heart, and they're in the ground. They never go outside the parameters because they're too afraid to do that. They're too afraid to rock the boat. They're too afraid that somebody's going to make fun of them. They're too afraid that someone's just going to say, hey, you know what? That's a stupid idea, man. Why would you do that? Why would you waste your time like that? Well, number one, I never asked you for your opinion. Number two, because it's my life. And I always hear people say, well, until they pay my bills, they have nothing to say to me. Okay, that's a start. That's a start. But if you truly want to move outside of the existence that you've created, then you have to move outside of the existence that you've created. I'm repeating it because it's a pretty simple formula. Are there consequences? I don't know. I don't know if there are consequences. There will be change, yes. Either you think of it as a consequence or it's not a consequence. It really depends on how you feel about it and what you think about it. It's because everything's feeling. When you ask people to give you your opinion or what they think, then it's a logical thought. But when you ask people how they feel about it, that takes you a whole different game. So stop thinking and stop feeling and combine the two and come to a conclusion of what's best for you. Most of us will stay and flounder in the energy that we're in because it's comfortable. It's like wearing a good old pair of underwear and a good pair of shoes. You just keep them on because they feel good, or you keep them on because you don't want to buy a new pair of shoes. You don't want to go outside. You're chinsy and you don't want to change. Most people don't want to change. They think they're too old to change. Most people who get to my age or a little bit older than me, they don't change because they don't think that anybody will take them serious. That they would be sacrificing too much. My God, you've sacrificed 30, 40 years of your life to get where you're at, to make the decisions of where you're at. You have the decisions. It's just a moment away to make a different life path for yourself. A lot of us get into situations because we think we have to be the martyr. We have to martyr. That if I'm good, I listen to my mom and dad. I'm good. My mom and dad are dead. They died 4 years ago. And and I was I was martyr. I martyrized myself, you know, and I gave of myself because I wanted to be a good son. I wanted to be honor and respect because that's the way I was raised. That's the way they showed me. Did that serve me? Maybe in the moment, maybe in the moment. But when I look back now, that didn't help me because they wanted me to stay and to be and not leave. They wanted me to be in their life because they love me, because that's the way families are, especially families like mine. We stuck together because energetically in our DNA, there's something about creating a tribe. And your first tribe is always your family. That's that little mini tribe, that group of people that you're with, that family bond. And so my mom and dad wanted to make sure that our little group, our little gang, our little band of people was strong. And if we're strong, no one can mess with us. No one can divide us and conquer us. It only takes one person to make a decision and say, "Hey, I don't want to be part of that band. I don't want to be part of that group," and we're out. And that kind of happens in my family. Nothing against them. That was their decision. That was their choice, because those are choices. Nothing. Everything we do is just choice, right or wrong. There's no right or wrong. It's just a choice. If you don't want to be, you know, my family is my blood. It doesn't necessarily mean they're my family. I'm blood related. Now there are people in my family who are family and blood related. There are people who are not in my family who are my family and not blood related. Blood doesn't make you, you know, you could look through history, all the things that people did to each other, you know, and they were related and they were blood. We have this energetic pool to people who are different than us. The people who are, this is why when you find somebody that you like, they're from a different gene pool, because energetically that's what connects you, calls you. When we're no longer in that caveman or Neanderthal energy where sometimes we were with the same people that we birthed. We don't have to live like that anymore. We don't live like that anymore. We're the mutts of the world. Everybody says mutts is probably the most strongest animal, the dog, right? But humans are the same way. We have so many crisscross overs that we don't even know. Everybody is their genetic makeup dictates where they're at in life. We buy into stories, we buy into situations, we buy into things that we believe are true. And they were true at one time, but they're no longer true. It was the truth in that moment. But sometimes that truth carries forward because people keep carrying it and keep moving it forward because they've learned how to. They've learned how to keep you at the base of the pyramid and keeping the foundation from crumbling, because that's how they were taught. That's how their energy moves through their body. You also create pyramids within the structure of your friendships, relationships, and your friends. You have little mini pyramids. And sometimes you're at the top of some of these pyramids, and sometimes you're at the bottom of these pyramids. And sometimes you're not on any pyramid, you're just on the outside looking in. That all of us are part of a pyramid, multiple pyramids of our life. You know, multiple pyramids. But we don't see it because we're living and we're in the moment. We're here. So we don't see the pyramid. We don't think we're part of the pyramid because the version of myself is unique. Yes, Iggy Garcia is a unique individual who will never exist again. Once I die, my energy will move forward into time, space, and nothing and come back. Maybe as a human, maybe don't come back. But regardless, this story that I've created of myself, this podcast that I create, is a story of a historical document of me and the thoughts that I have had about life and how I see life and how I maneuver through life. Do I always get it right? No, of course not. No, none of us do. But the point is this: when we move through life, we just do our very best. We have to do our very best because there are people that teach us how to treat them and vice versa. We treat people, we teach people very well how to treat us and how we treat them. Because it's a swinging door, you know. You know exactly what to say to certain people. You know exactly how to react to certain people. You know how to exactly ignore certain people. You know how to avoid certain people. You know how to embrace certain people. You know how to navigate certain people. You know how to navigate your energy around certain people. You know what to say or not to say when you're in the presence of certain people, and vice versa. Excuse me, vice versa. And this is what humans do. Humans are notorious for this. They're just That's just their genetic makeup. We are a loving, compassionate uh, creation, but we're also inundated with a lot of traumas that are not all ours. I hope you heard that. Not all the traumas you own are yours. You have your own unique, specific traumas, yes, in this lifetime. But as a shaman, that's my job. Another shaman's job is to help you move that trauma, that family trauma out and replace it with something better. But a lot of people don't know that because sometimes they look at me and they go, oh, he works, he's demonic, he's a witch, blah, blah. There are people who say that. And you know what? That's fine. That's where you're at. That says more about you than me, what you think about what I do. You don't even know what I do. Because if you knew what I did, you wouldn't be saying something like that. You know, that guy's a doctor. Works on brains. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what brain surgeons do. I just know they do it, right? And it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Same with shamanism. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. So we can't get caught in the thing that we think that everything works. It's energy. All our energies working together, coalescing and manifesting and integrating and intertwining is always happening. So, like today, I booked all my drum stuff, all my sound baths, everything, and just have it all lined up, ready to go. Could things change? Yeah, sure. But the thing is, my energy is going there, is manifesting, creating the abundance that I need and the energy that I need to go into. Because this is what I do for a living. This is what I do. I do podcasts. I work with clients. I do drum circles. I do sound baths. I do healings. I do all kinds of stuff. I do events. I'm part of events because that's what I chose. That's how I want to live. Because I made a decision a long time ago that I did not want to be a restaurateur anymore. I didn't want to work 60, 70, 80 hours in a restaurant. Yeah, we made money, but you know what? I was dying because I couldn't physically keep up. I had employees, but there's your body pays the price. Your body is your shell, this vehicle, it pays the price because you go into overdrive and overdrive takes over. And that couldn't happen anymore. So I have to create more abundance in the work that I do. I have to create things to help me manifest and bring into my home, bring into my life. And I'm doing that. I have to relearn. I have to rethink. I have to speak to myself differently because everything comes out of my mouth, I hear. Everything that other people say, I hear. You know, everything I see, and it goes into my brain and my subconscious mind. It's there. It sits there, either to help me or not help me, or just to be indifferent. But it takes up space. It, it's not like you push the Alt Delete clear. Clear Alt Delete, and then just erase it. No, that's not how it works. The human mind is the most powerful tool. The brain in there is the most powerful tool that ever existed. It's faster than any computer you can imagine. A lot of people don't believe that, but I believe that. when we have so much room to do stuff when we put our mind, our heart, and our spirit, and our soul into it, that happens. But anyways, it's really where you want to take this energy. It's really up to you when you're ready to heal. It's really up to you because you're healing in pieces and parts as you move through life, yes. But the story that you have of your trauma rewrites itself. It changes. It becomes different because you every time you get older, you're moving out of it to some degree or moving back into it, and you don't see the story the same way anymore because other people have influenced you or talked to you, and to the point where you're not even sure what the trauma was sometimes. You just know it happened. And there's a lot of people who were abused, molested, raped, and they have a lot of people who are still living and they have to deal with them. You have to create healthy limits and boundaries and know when it's best or not best to be around those kind of people. But only you have that tool to do that. And you'll have the tools to work through that energy. But don't beat yourself up. Don't be mad at yourself because you know what? In that moment, you did the best. You made the best decisions you could. So honor yourself with that. All right, guys. I think I've said a lot. I think we covered a lot in a short period of time. But I want to invite you guys to come to a drum circle at the Reiki Center. It's in Grandview Heights, Ohio, at 7 p.m. It's this Saturday, and that's the 25th. So if you can make it, join me. It'd be a lot of fun. At 6:30, we'll do a little practice session if you want to come learn a little bit. But go to iggygarcia.com. You can see all my events. You just click on iggygarcia.com, hit events, and you can see all the schedules there. Or look for me on Instagram under Mandriotti, or on TikTok, Iggy Garcia 13. Or go to YouTube and just look up It's Good to Be Here, Iggy Garcia. You can find me there. This podcast will replay wherever there's great podcasts. It's good to be here. Never forget that. It's good to be here. Even when it doesn't feel like it, it's good to be here. When you tell yourself enough, you start to believe it, and it starts to be ingrained and indoctrinated in your belief system, and you work through it. Sometimes it doesn't feel good, but remember, talk to yourself because you are the only one you really listen to. Sure, there are people you listen to, but you know what? In the end, you are the magic. You are the person. You actually take time to divulge the information and recycle it and push it through your body, push it through your spirit and soul. So whatever you heard today, if it's important, good. If it's not, no problem. If you want to move in a different direction with the different times of trains of thought, no problem. But I'm here just to invite you to see things a little bit different, have a different perspective, and a different idea on how to move the energy. So I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. And, we'll be back and we'll be sharing again. It is spring, so enjoy spring. It'll get warmer as we go, and then we'll be complaining about how hot it is. Oh, it's so hot. But anyhow, winter is on the way out. Thank you, winter, for all the things you do. Thank you, Mother Earth, for all the energy that you work through and that energy. At least we won't have any more snowmen for a while. For those people who love snowmen. Yeah, it's fun sometimes, but yeah, this Peruvian doesn't do really well in the cold. All right, guys. Peace and love. It's good to be here. Irisiqui, Mataquias, Aho. I will see you guys next time. What is above is below. Peace begins with me. Never forget that. And I will see you next time. Be well. Take care. And just check out my podcast wherever podcasts are free. Look up iggygarcia.com on Spotify, and I'm there. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.